The Agenda is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service, moving forward.
Hello, everyone. Kerwin Gaines here on The Agenda. Thank you for tuning in yet another week. We have a special edition. We're dealing this week with campaign finance right here in the state of Delaware, dealing with the gubernatorial race. We'll have no bones about it. It's about Bethany Long, Lieutenant Governor for the state of Delaware, running for governor of the state of Delaware, and some account issues that she has in regards to her campaign. We have her here today, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Long. Thank you for joining us here on The Agenda.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you. I appreciate the opportunity to join in and have a conversation.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to have is a conversation. I, as a Delawarean and also a constituent, right? I want to see the best candidate possible get into the office, but I'm being inundated in my social media, in my email box, in the newspaper about campaign finances and the issues that your campaign is having. Before we do that, I want to be fair. I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to people who may not know you. They just might know your name from a blog or whatever, but they don't know you. So please, briefly, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Great. Well, I'm so appreciative to be here. For the folks who do know me, they know that I've been a member of the Delaware House, the Senate, and Lieutenant Governor ready on day one, as second in command now to be the next governor. And folks have probably heard me talk a little bit about my bold and innovative plan around 4 things we're going to accomplish in 4 years. The economy, good jobs, big business, small business opportunities. 2, having a solid education system with reform that includes what I will bring to Delaware, universal birth to 5 childcare. We have to have that. It will be a game changer, and I'm excited as a mom and a nurse to see that happen. And 3rd, I really want to make sure that the healthcare is accessible to all, and that all the children and all families have that equity no matter their zip code, and quality of life is the 4th item. That is housing and transportation and all the items. And so I hope we'll get into a little bit about that later. But what I have discovered, because I've been up and down Delaware, listening tours as a nurse, working in Sevierville to Claymont with my students. A lot of people don't know I'm a career professor and an educator. I've been a career educator. And what they really don't know is that I'm like every Delawarean. I've lived through experiences being raised on a family farm in Sussex with brothers and a family that went through a lot of trauma. Father who was injured in a severe accident in a wheelchair, and family members, mom and brother who had advanced cancer. And that trauma made me a better person. And it encouraged me to provide what I want to do for everyone in service. I've been a volunteer since I was 13, and in that Sussex roots, I learned a lot from a very smart woman called my grandma, who had an 8th grade education. And she instilled in me that no matter what I did in life, that I help others, that I uplift, and that's what I've done. When I moved on to actually becoming a nurse, and my grandma was so proud. I was the first to go be a career college degree, and even further when I went on to be a professor, and I haven't forgotten that. And I think that is what Delawareans have elected me. When I started in Kent County as a state rep, moved into parts of Newcastle as a senator, and that's what I bring, is that passion and that compassion, and being ready on day one, having led, national organizations that have instilled in me why we need someone competitive with that bold and innovative plan. And America's ready for the first nurse governor and second woman governor of Delaware.
Yeah, I think that we're all ready for that. I love the fact that you said that service is one of your big things that you find important in describing yourself. But there have been numerous articles that have been written over the past couple of weeks in regards to your campaign finance and some errors that have occurred. Now, I want to bring up to light, I'm doing this in a sequential type of phase, is that about 10 days ago, maybe 12 days ago, to be exact, polling numbers came out and showed that in one poll that you were ahead by a sizable margin. Soon after that came allegations of violations in regards to campaign reform, right? Some people have called this crooked, has called incidents. Let me give you a direct quote. There have been reports saying that you and your husband broke the law, just flat out broke the law. Do you expect that you and your husband are going to be criminally charged for this? The Attorney General has made it clear that she has no intention of pressing charges, but where do you see the first problem lying?
Well, I can just say, anyone who's been in politics, and I know when I go on the streets of Delaware, people are disgusted with the negative attacks. And particularly as a woman, there are a lot of persons very upset with Mr. Meyer and some of his accusations. But let me answer your question directly. I can tell you emphatically, no, there has been no wrongdoing. If anything, I would say as a nurse, we're very transparent. And when we discovered last fall, when I moved from the lieutenant governor's account to becoming governor, really excited after the announcement, we discovered that there were some misreporting in our campaign finance. And we just had to figure out how much we had put in our own personal campaign expenses from my credit cards in past elections. We did that on our own. So voluntarily, we put that out because that's who I am. If you're a nurse, you find a problem, you report it. And we did that. And there's nothing more transparent than that. And the great news that has come forward after months of complying with endless amounts of data and information that we in a confidential investigation have shared with the department is what we've known all along, that there wasn't wrongdoing, that there are no criminal charges to be pressed on my husband or the campaign, that we literally had calculations that were off in misreporting, and like we've always done, we'll amend those reports when the calculations have been completed. And so having the Attorney General and the Elections Commissioner say again there are no charges for criminal behavior, I think is important. And it's really upsetting to me. I went through a 6-way primary in 2016, and no one in the Democratic Party or on the ticket acted this way. And
the Lipinski report found that you and your husband profited from campaign finance. Reports are demonstrating that. Did you personally benefit from the campaign on any of your personal finances?
Absolutely not. I can tell you when all of this began, again, very transparent, very open, very contrary. There are in that report misrepresentations, misnomers, and inaccuracies. And we have not had a chance to, with that preliminary report, to really rebuttal all the way, and we're hoping to be able to do so. Let's face it. I've learned through this process, and that's why I'm going to work with whether our Attorney General's office or members of the General Assembly on any reforms needed so that no one else has this experience when they voluntarily come forward to make corrections in their campaign finance reports and to make them accurate. My husband and I, we started with a House seat, and he did a fine job. Taking care of the campaign finance reports, progressed to the Senate. And in some ways, I feel like I should apologize to him. I've had him continue, into the larger campaign of a lieutenant governor. And it was a lot of activity, a lot that obviously there was some misreporting, miscategorizations, but that's it. There was nothing of additional wrongdoing. But having said that, I have learned. I know my husband and I have taken a lot of attacks by being open and by being transparent, but that's the kind of governor I'm going to be. If you have an issue, you report it, you work on it, you communicate. And I don't think that there's any more, I could be more transparent. Everything has been out in the public records. It's there, the reports have been amended, and we're going to continue to really make sure as I've brought on a new team. I brought on people with campaign finance expertise when I moved to the governor's seat. And so as I moved toward the governor's seat, I'm happy about that. And so for me, I just, again, know for a fact, no criminal charges, that we have worked really hard to be open and transparent. And I'm just really disgusted with some of the stir up and the false accusations of criminal and misconduct and the other accusations.
In regards to campaign finance, there has been a question in regards to inaccuracies, which you have not denied that there are inaccuracies in regards to campaign finance. But the question is, was there anything criminal there? The AG's report said that they will not go after criminal charges in regards to this. So when I hear that, as a constituent, as someone who understands a little bit of legal speak and legalese, that's telling me that, hey, there's some issues, but they just need to fix them, right? These issues are basically fixable. But at the same time, I'm seeing this over and over and over again in regards to your campaign. And people are having questions in regards to whether or not, if she can't handle this, can she handle the state's budget and all these other things? I know that these are several questions that I'm hitting you at one time, but I'm asking you, what are you currently doing to fix these issues?
Wow, it's so straightforward. And like you, it has been very frustrating because there are lies, there's inaccuracies, there's misstatements, and downright dirty mudslinging by Mr. Meyer. I have to say that this is a voluntary process. When we moved from lieutenant governor to a governor's account, we discovered that we needed to clarify how much my husband and I had put on our credit cards. We didn't raise the same amount of money. We had more expenses than we had donations in our 2016 race. And so we paid for legitimate campaign expenses on our credit card. We've determined that we were owed funds back. We forgave it. And that's what we needed to clarify. And that's what's been publicly listed. And the mudslinging and the inaccuracies just have culminated. And what I want folks to know is that I'm transparent, and we brought this forward, and we've hired a new firm. You know, I had my husband helping. He was my high school sweetheart. We've been together. I love him dearly, but I fired my husband and we hired a different firm, and I have a fantastic campaign finance experienced treasurer now. And at the end of the day, we have focused and moved on to other issues, and we will continue to work with the Department of Elections and others as we amend our reports.
I think I know it probably wasn't an easy conversation to release your husband of his duty, but it was necessary, I think, in making those adjustments that the reports are citing, right? So I understand that. Moving forward, working with these things, how transparent are you and your team being? There has been reports that state, and I believe it's from the Summit CPA of Dover, found no wrongdoings or violations, but you did not release that audit. People want to know, why did you not release that audit?
Again, there's a lot of misnomers in the press, wrong titles. We had an internal review of our expenses. All of those items were publicly presented in November. And we've gone on and collaborated and worked relentlessly and tirelessly with our open book, with our Department of Elections, which has come back and said that the Department of Elections, the Attorney General, that there are no criminal charges, and that we are working diligently, as I have every day, to be as transparent as possible. And I'm tired of the mudslinging, you know, like Kamala is experiencing this as a woman, held to these crazy standards. I just really want folks to know that we are ready to lead this state, and that the finances of the campaign are fixed. We're working on those, and that I am ready and understand this budget in the state like I care about everyday Delawareans up and down the state, and ready to lead.
So are you saying, or do you feel that there's a correlation in you being ahead in the polls, basically, at a fairly large margin, and this report, like this mudslinging, this uptick in mudslinging, is because basically you're leading?
Oh, absolutely. I've been in the political realm of public service since I was 13 and serving people. And when you're doing a good job and you're working hard and you're up in the polls and you have all the endorsements, I have the Delaware Democratic Party endorsement. I have our governor's endorsement, over 40 state elected officials endorsement, our trade, AFL-CIO trade union, the teachers union. People do desperate things. And, you know, and it's unfortunate, you know, in 2016, when we ran a six-way primary, nobody got down in the dirt like this. And I have been above board, and I have been open and transparent. And I will not be listening to the rumors and the hearsay of someone desperate calling on myself to step out of the race, or Mr. Meyer saying to Mr. O'Mara that he should be disqualified. That is not the Delaware way. We work collectively, we work collaboratively in this state, because September 11th, we are all going to wake up moving forward for this state.
So what would you say, and I think it's a legitimate concern, a complete legitimate concern, and was in my initial question, to those folks who say, if you can't handle a campaign finance, how in the hell are you going to handle the state's budget?
Well, I have just been so humbled to have been in the State House and the Senate and Lieutenant Governor and sat on the bond committee and capital committees. I am ready on day one, second in command now. I have lived through 6 major budget deficits in this state, as well as 2 national recessions. And we've come out ahead. With the Carney Hall Long administration, we created over 32,000 jobs. We have a budget stabilization fund working with members of the General Assembly. And I am ready, not only from the public sector, but I also understand from the private sector. I've led budgets at a hospital system. I teach in the doctoral finance and accounting department of PhD program in nursing, how to do budgets. So at the end of the day, I am more than prepared. And when people are desperate, they say desperate things. And so to me, I'm excited about having that opportunity to focus on the things that have mattered: our education reform, economics for all people, good, solid health care that's accessible, as well as making sure we have all the quality of life, housing, and other factors that people care about, that keep them up at night. We should be focused on what keeps Delawareans up at night and not this other stuff. We should be focused on our personal plans. And my big plans are coming out here at the end of the week that we're going to lead this state forward, because I'm competitive. I have led the national lieutenant governors, and I know where this state needs to go with that bold, innovative plan.
So we'll talk about earlier this season or this month. There's been so many lieutenant governor, I'm trying to keep track of them. It was about campaign overpayment, right? Mm-hmm. But what I found through campaign elections data is that is a common occurrence. Mm-hmm. So were those funds returned, or how did you go about fixing that issue?
Whenever you have overages, you are to return the funds, and you have that period of time. You have that whole reporting cycle. So my campaign, like all campaigns, particularly statewide, this is a common occurrence, unfortunately, particularly the busier the campaign. A House or Senate campaign was not the same. However, now that we have online donations, that happens more frequently. Okay. Sometimes a spouse's name will not appear. You'll have the husband twice or the other. And so you work through that. And so funds have to be returned. But again, we have processes in place through our Department of Election that allow us to make those corrections.
And so are other campaigns that experience overages getting the same level of scrutiny as your campaign?
I have not seen the same level of scrutiny of overages. I haven't also seen the same level of scrutiny of, Mr. Meyer and his PAC and his donations from developers and conflicts of interest. But I haven't gone in the mud. I have been above board, and I've been very focused on what my role is as a statesperson who knows how to lead the state on day one, who's very visionary, very competitive to protect my families. I was raised on that farm, and it's about loyalty and protection. And I care about our children here on the streets of Wilmington, to our children in Stubbyville or Dover, making sure that their parents aren't up at night, worried about food, worried about paying their rent. And that's what I've been focused on. And it is very, very disturbing, the lies, the myths, the inaccuracies that the Meyer campaign has put out. And, it's rather appalling to my supporters that they're calling on egregious actions of me that I would never, ever consider. I'm never stepping out of this race. I am in this to lead Delaware because I know where we need to go.
Have you had any discussions? I'm just curious, my mind want to know, with Mr. Meyer in regards to this issue.
Not in detail, not yet. I just keep reminding individuals. I remind folks that in 2016, we had a very fair 6-way primary, and that when we wake up on September 11th, we're all Democrats. And I don't appreciate the character assassinations, but when you're ahead in the polls, you have the better experience, when you're the more highly qualified leader, and you're a woman, what happens? You get the bigger bullseye on your back.
Well, I thank you very much for being clear. in regards to what's going on. I feel as though I have a little bit more knowledge in regards to everything that's going on. Briefly, while we still have you here, why are you the best choice for governor in this race?
Well, as I've traveled the state and I hear from individuals, they want someone they can trust. They want someone who's ready on day one and doesn't need on-the-job training. And also, not only because I've had the endorsements of my colleagues, but I know how to get to W and negotiate. You know, when I was a state legislator, I had over 1,000 bills I sponsored and co-sponsored. Families want someone who gets things accomplished and who can lead in a direction. And I know with my bold and innovative plan, I'm going to be taking care of those things that I hear from folks. One, their cost of living and economics, making sure we have good paying jobs, making sure that we have a strong reformed education system for all with equity, and that also that we have the opportunity to lead forward with education and that we're going to have the healthcare that we need. I am ready. You know, as a woman, we come with a different level of transparency, and you'll always have that, and I'm accessible. And also being the second woman governor and the first nurse governor, folks are really enthusiastic about that.
Well, you've made it clear coming here today, volunteering your time to come here today and get the record straight. We appreciate it, and we're open to all candidates who want to get the record straight and have their information known here. I think it is a matter of integrity on both parts, and we want to be your station and your media outlet for integrity and letting people know about what's going on. The agenda, as always, is here to bring information to all of those in the state in regards to state elections, municipality issues, everything. You can find them right here on the agenda. We thank you very much for tuning in to this special edition, and we look forward to hearing from you online. Have a great day, Delaware.